51. This example, unlike the previous one, I'm going to be adding, or I'm going to be affecting the input to the function, not the output of the function. So we saw an example similar to this earlier where the function gives the amount of air that's going through these vents as a function of time. And in one example, I said I just want more air going through. I want to increase the output, the amount of air coming through, or the area, or whatever it was. In this one, that's not what I want to do. In this one, I want to change the input. I want to begin venting 2 hours earlier. So I'm supposed to sketch a graph of the new function. So it's already done here. However, I want to talk through it a little bit. First of all, this blue graph was our original function. This is the one that we started out with. So in the blue graph, at 8 a.m. here, we open up the vents, and by 10, they're completely open, and they stay open, and then at whatever time this is, we start closing them. Here, they're completely closed, and they stay closed. But if I want to start things earlier, then instead of opening the vents at 8 here, I'm going to open them at 6. And then instead of starting or having them all the way open at this time, which I think was 10, I'll have them all the way open by 8 because I started opening them earlier. And then instead of starting to close them at this time, I'll close them at this time, and so on. The point that I'm getting here is every single point I want moved to the left by 2. So this point that was here at 8 had an x-coordinate of 8. I now want it to have an x-coordinate of 6. This point had an x-coordinate of 10. I would now want it to have an x-coordinate of 8. This one had an x-coordinate of, what is that? It looks like about 17. So I subtract 2. Now it has an x-coordinate of 15. And so on. You do that with every single point on the graph. It does not ask you what the new function is. But v of t was my original function. And so we notice that this thing shifted 2 spots to the left. In other words, I've subtracted 2 from every single x-coordinate. If you go back over here, what I would have to do to subtract 2 from every x-coordinate is my new function would have to be f of x plus 2. So that is a little bit counterintuitive. You might have guessed that it was v of t minus 2 when you say we want to open this thing 2 hours earlier, but it's not. It's actually v of t plus 2. To shift the graph left by 2, you add 2 because the horizontal transformations, as I talked about in the summary video, everything's backwards. Everything's the opposite of what you would think. Note that the problem doesn't ask me to do this. It just asked me to sketch the graph, and that was already done for you in orange here, so I just kind of talked through it. But I think it's instructive to talk about what the transformation actually is that we applied. That's this right here. That ends this video.